I hope the party is going well. We are, if you remember, in this sort of 48-hour do for Richard. And, at any sort of do, there becomes that point where somebody gets up and sort of interrupts the celebrations of whatever it is we're partying about to say a few words. And it is a complete pleasure for me, as the chair of BELMAS at the time that Richard has decided to leave us, to be able to say a few words. And to give him here a card that I know many of you have been signing, and inside a gift to him as a token of our appreciation of everything he has done. I don't know how many of you know the real Richard. As we all are aware, Richard is extremely professional, very discreet, and you may not know much about him. And I'm not going to embarrass him by revealing too much. But if you didn't know, Richard was with the RAF, and he has an absolute passion for aeronautics, everything aeronautics. And my understanding is that he will use his time now to rekindle that passion. And that's why I'm starting with some comments about the person. Because even though we are here to acknowledge and absolutely thank him and celebrate all he's done for BELMAS, it's the person that I'd like to just take a moment to acknowledge and to celebrate. He has a passion for fly fishing and also his family and his grandchildren. Richard's qualities as a person. Richard has remarkable diplomacy. And with that is his humour. And actually, I think they need to go together. In the way in which Richard manages people and manages the egos that can sit around a table of academics and scholars and school leaders, etc. Richard is quite extraordinary in how he manages that. And though not ever anyone to laugh at anybody's expense, because he's a very human-centered person, he does have an absolutely wicked sense of humour and a very dry humour, which I've always appreciated. You can imagine Richard sort of saying when somebody says, especially in the present economic climate, when somebody says, we better not drink and drive, Richard's response would be, what, you think you can afford both? Richard has worked extremely hard at establishing the BELMAS office. That has been his impact. So when Richard was brought into BELMAS, he came in as our first professional business manager. And what Richard has done is to build up that office function. And I know that Nick, Kelly, and of late Rachel, not that anything has happened to Rachel, but what I mean is she was with us and it was a team of 3. Rachel, Nick, and Kelly absolutely adore him. And it's a testament to any manager that actually people feel so utterly fond of you, which I know the 3 of them absolutely did and do. He's professionalized the society. And on that element of the qualities that he has, I have never known anybody write minutes in the way that Richard does. I attend a lot of meetings in my life and read the notes and the minutes of those meetings, and I'm sure you would all recognise that council meetings can go off in all sorts of directions, and somebody has got their own little agenda that they'd like to take it off, and we can have all these sorts of wonderful discussions. And the way Richard encapsulates that in some very succinct minutes, very diplomatically written, is extremely impressive. And Richard, I've always been in awe of that. Richard's legacy. I think Richard's legacy is that he has developed BELMAS to be a society where whoever you are, you belong. He has this extraordinary ability to not allow pomposity, status, ideas of your own importance to mean that you get any sense of preferential treatment in terms of him seeing you as an equal member of the society. And my knowledge of him and what people have always fed back to me about him is that whenever they have asked for his support in when they've contacted BELMAS, he has made them feel that they are an equitable member of the society and always very keen to help. And so Ryan, who is his successor coming into the role, Ryan, would you just like to stand in case anybody hasn't seen you? Okay. So Ryan, good luck. Good luck on building on that legacy. Building on that customer service ethic. I mentioned yesterday about the number of international delegates that we have here at conference, and it's been interesting as I've spoken to people and said, how's conference going for you? And people have spoken very positively. They've also said how wonderful it is with us all being together, how many people from across the globe are here. And my absolute thanks to everyone who has travelled here, and take a moment to acknowledge those for whom it was difficult to get here and would be with us if the UK hadn't prioritised visas for the Commonwealth Games and understandably people from the Ukraine. And also, obviously, difficulties that we've had with flights. But as I mentioned yesterday, Richard has championed that direction of travel for BELMAS. And so I do want us to take a moment to absolutely celebrate and acknowledge that if you've had that thought over the last 24 whatever hours during this conference, if you've had that thought of, yeah, it's quite special that it feels quite sort of international, then let's just acknowledge Richard and his contribution in making that happen. Yeah, a round of applause. On a personal note, ever since I came into council, I've always found Richard to be a wise sage and very supportive of how to navigate and I think Tony mentioned it yesterday, the micropolitics. And since I became vice chair and came into the chairship, equally so. So it's a personal thanks for that. I will always be and have that memory of how he's inspired me in his calmness and his fortitude in just steadying the ship when people around get a little bit excitable. And Richard has been an enormous steady rock, if that's an okay expression, and had that sort of hand on the tiller And what he does is he holds his hand on the tiller while everybody else thinks that they're really driving the ship. A very accomplished skill. And so we will miss him. We appreciate so much, Richard, all that you have given. And whilst we will miss you, we wish you very well in the next chapter of your life. It's a deserved chapter. And hopefully you will occasionally have a thought of us and a wry smile, I dare say. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Davis.
All right, let you off lightly there.
Thank you very much, Ian, yes. I wasn't expecting most of that, I must say. Thank you.
Wow. If I may edit the first draft, for fly fishing, read flying.
Oh.
Fly fishing would be a day wasted when you could be flying. So apart from that, everything was accurate to a degree. I think I would say that for me, it's been an absolute privilege to make so many friends from around the world, and to see so many of you here tonight is a total joy for me. I think the words that I've heard were excessively over the top for my ears, and must be incredibly frightening for my successor. I will take the friendship that I have made with international friends, and also with BELMAS Council in particular, with me into what I hope will be a busy and productive and fruitful retirement. I thank you all very much indeed for your kind thoughts and words, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Richard, I got that wrong. I misread it.